Big thanks to Kamada Joe for sponsoring this episode.
You know you want it. You know you need it. This is the classic recipe version for chimichurri. Everybody that takes cooking meat seriously needs a good chimichurri recipe. I'm gonna give you a basic classic version of chimichurri that will never fail you. It always starts with olive oil. And of course you want to have a good quality olive oil. I'm using Frantonia, but that's something that is easily available. What you need is olive oil that speaks in itself, something that has flavor. And that's why I picked an olive oil that is strong and peppery in flavor and really stands out. Make that chimichurri pop. I'm gonna start with 100 milliliters of olive oil, followed by 30 milliliters of red wine vinegar. Now I'm gonna add a teaspoon of fleur de sel, which is a good quality salt, and a couple of twists on the pepper mill. And what I just created is called a vinaigrette, the classic French vinaigrette. It is rich, but it's balanced by the acidity of the red wine vinegar, and it's popping with the salt and the pepper. Now if you put this on a salad, your salad is gonna taste freaking amazing. And that's the basic thing that you need, a good vinaigrette to start your chimichurri off with. Now it's on to the fresh ingredients. Starting with a bunch of fresh parsley, cut off the leaves, get rid of the stalks, and then chop it fine as you can with a chef's knife. Don't put this in a blender, you want to have the actual texture. This totals up to around half a cup of fresh chopped parsley, and it will be your signature of a fresh homemade chimichurri. Now it's time for the garlic. For this amount of chimichurri, I'm gonna need only one garlic clove, and start chopping it as fine as you can. Add that to the chimichurri. Now important to note is that by using a small amount of garlic but using it fresh, it will stand out intensely. If you put too much garlic in, it's going to destroy everything and make everything taste like garlic. So one clove is key here. Another key is that you need to give that garlic time to let it sit. You can't use this straight away. You have to let it sit for at least 2 to 3 hours for that garlic to mix in with the rest of the flavor. Now of course that's not all of the ingredients. I'm also going to need to add a little bit of dried oregano, and I'm adding around a tablespoon of dried oregano to this. And depending on how much heat you want to add to your chimichurri, you're going to add an amount of chili flakes. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of chili flakes because that will be plenty of heat for my chimichurri. I don't want to go overboard on that heat. I'm going to close the lid, secure it, shake it up, and that's my chimichurri. You can store this in your fridge for around 4 to 5 days. Because you got to keep in mind, after around half a day, the flavors are maximized. It's intense in flavor. And over time, it starts degrading and it becomes, well, it goes off because of the fresh ingredients that you're using, the good stuff. And while I wait for that chimichurri to start popping, I'm gonna fire up my Kamada Joe, put in some big block, put in a couple of fire starters, light them up. And then I gotta wait until that charcoal's fully lit before I can start grilling. Never waste a moment when cooking. Cut up some veggies. I'm gonna show you how you can make a delicious grilled vegetable salad. And I also have a beautiful piece of black Angus waiting for you. First I'm gonna cut up this zucchini. A fresh fennel, cut out the core, because that's the bitter part. You can get rid of that. I'm gonna leave the stalks on. Every stalk is a layer. That's gonna go on the grill. I'm gonna peel this onion, cut that onion into thick rings, decore a bell pepper, flatten it out. Now that my grill is nice and hot, I'm going to sear my vegetables. First on the zucchini, the bell peppers, onion, and the fennel. I'm looking for a bit of char on my vegetables. Once I grill my vegetables, I'm gonna chop them coarse, put them in a salad bowl, shred and add some mozzarella to it, drizzle on some of that chimichurri, toss the bowl, and that is one tasty looking salad. Now I know you didn't come here just for a salad or a sauce, you also want to see a good piece of meat. I got a beautiful piece of neck that comes from a black Angus cow with a lot of intermuscular fat. So it's time to cut it up and create something beautiful out of it. I'm specifically looking for fatty parts of meat that include this muscle. I'm cutting it out. I'm going to square it up so that we can process it and turn it into something beautiful. The next step is to butterfly this beautiful piece of meat. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to make a long cut. And as I'm cutting it, I'm gonna roll it out using the tip of my knife. Look at that amount of fat. That is one insane piece of meat. Now I'm gonna take a heavy pan and whack it a couple of times just to flatten it out. It's also good for aggression therapy. Now I know this cut might be hard to come by, but just ask for a beef collar, beef neck, and you will definitely be able to find it. And then it's time to skewer it on, one after the other. Flatten that out. Of course, we gotta put some salt on. And this is quite a heavy piece, and a lot of it's gonna render down, it's gonna fall off, so I'm gonna put on a lot of salt, flip it around, and I'm hoping that we're gonna get a lot of crust on this meat by slow roasting it over an open fire. I think that will do the job. I'm just gonna put it right here and center the meat a little bit. And now all we need is time. But we gotta keep watching it. The grill is rather hot. I'm gonna rotate it, flip it, make sure I don't get any flare-ups, and wait for it to be done. I need it to be cooked at least until a core temperature of 56 degrees Celsius, and I'm looking for a crunchy outside. Once I got the initial sear on, I'm going to take my skewer and I'm going to stick it in the back of the Kamado Joe, letting it rest. This way I'm going to have a slow cook. The meat is away from the fire, the fat is rendering down into the back, but still the heat and the smoke comes up and cooks the meat, asado style. Beautiful piece of meat, all done. And as you can see, we got beautiful dark spots, nice charred up bits, fat rendering down. I need to get this on the board. It's super, super heavy. I'm just giving it a little moment to relax. It kind of doesn't matter how tough the meat is. We're just going to slice the little bits of crunch off the outside like this. Crunchy bit, super juicy. That is a beautiful piece of beef. You can literally take the toughest cut on beef, use the Argentinian technique, and turn it into something delicious. Morrison, give it a try.
Yeah.
And the chimichurri, it just breaks everything down. All of that fattiness brings it like to a normal level.
I'm taking a moment.
Okay, eet smakelijk and keep on grilling.
Keep on grilling.